Okay, fine, go. Today's video, I'm really like excited to do this video. I've been prepping for it and getting it ready and stuff. So I wanted to do like a vlog where I talk about where I got the inspiration for The Wish, which it's over here. I just thought that would be really cool to just talk about where my inspiration came from. So let's get to it. As a writer, a lot of people wonder where we get our inspiration from. You have to look around you because there's like inspiration everywhere. Like everything that you see, hear, feel, and know, it could be a story. So like I could be walking outside and there could be two people on the sidewalk fighting. And I could use that in a novel or in a story. And I would give it like a twist and be like, okay, what are they fighting about, you know? I don't know why, but like one day I was like looking out the window and I just got this image in my head of a dragon that is like sitting on top of the courthouse, and this character is the only person that can see it. Nobody else can. And then another time I got another story where like one day I was outside coming back from somewhere and I saw like black birds sitting like on the edge and the ceiling of the courthouse, and I got an idea from that. So basically everywhere you look, there will always be a story. So the story is about a girl, Olivia McGalla. She lives with her mom, and her dad lives in Winnipeg, Canada, because they're both divorced and they separated, and he's an architect. Now, where did I get an idea like that from? So when I was in 9th grade, I remember I drew Pocahontas, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. I drew Lady and the Tramp. I loved to paint, and it was like really fun. And because like I'm a creative person, I love to be creative, whether it's writing, drawing, like dressing up even. So I just like to be a creative person. So when I was writing this book, I'm like, well, Olivia's dad has to do something. And I took something from my personality, like what I like to do, and I was like, well, I used to like to draw, so maybe I could have her dad be an architect. Okay, so we have Olivia living with her mom, and her dad lives in Winnipeg. Okay, so we got that. And so Olivia and her mom lived out in the country. I wonder where I got that idea at. It's called Home, and it's a poetry book about my childhood growing up, and it's also about my dad, Charlie, that I lost when I was 16, I think, maybe 15. I don't really think about it too much because it just makes me really sad. So, if you read my book, The Wish, and if you've read Home, then you would compare it and see like what was real to me and what I used in the story. And it was a lot of fun to have Olivia and her mom live out in the country. And I wanted Olivia to kind of have a feel of the country life. So that was a lot of fun to put that into the story. I lived out in the country since I was, oh man, I think I was like 2 or 3. I lived out in the country my whole life until I was 18. I graduated from high school. Me, my mom, and my sister, I don't even remember what the town was, but I went out and lived out the country for her for a while, and then now I live in town, my apartment upstairs. So living out in the country, you know, on Sunday afternoons, my mom, my brother and sister, and my dad Charlie, and we would always take Bear with us. And sometimes we would take Ben or Liberty, and we would go for Sunday drives. And I lived out, by dirt roads. There was like a huge acres of woods behind the house, and I remember I used to like run around in the woods and stuff. And we had dogs, Bear, Liberty, Ben, Tebra, and Pugs. And we had like so many cats. Oh man, I can do another video about how the cat situation even started. So since we have Olivia and her mom living out in the country, I knew I needed to add something else. So I decided to have Olivia's grandpa live just down the road from where Olivia and her mom live. If you have read The Wish and Home, if you haven't read Home, I guarantee you that if you read all the poems, it will switch a light on in your head, because Grandpa Quinn is and was inspired by my dad, Charlie. So my dad, Charlie, loved nature. He loved being outside. I honestly don't remember much of him being inside the house. I just remember him being out in the garden. I remember him going to behind the house. He had his wood shed. It was like his work shed. And I remember when I would come home from school, or even during the summertime, or if there was a day where he didn't have to work, he would always be outside building things. I remembered him building the clothesline at the underground house years ago, and it's actually still there. So my dad, Charlie, loved to build things. He loved to build things out of wood. That was his personality. He just loved, we had a shed that was packed full of wood. He would build birdhouses, deck tables. He built the dog houses, the cat shed. He built I called it the chicken shed, but it's actually like a chicken coop. And I remember when he built that too. And the only thing I didn't like about that was cleaning it, because I grew up around chickens, and all they do is walk around and they poop while they walk. And it had to be clean like twice a week, and I just did not like it. I'm like, I'd rather pick up dog poop than scoop chicken poop out. But yeah, so I remember when he had built that. He also built a shed for his tools, and I think the mower and garden stuff, I think. Like right behind the trailer house, we had like his wood shed, his tool shed, the cat shed, and then right behind that on the corner, there was Liberty's shed, dog house. And then I think there was like 2 more behind. I think there were like 4, like right there. There had to have been, because I just loved going outside and watching him build things. It was really cool. So when I was working on my character, Grandpa Quinn, I was just taking things from my dad and just putting that into his character. And then he just developed. So my character, Grandpa Quinn, was inspired by my dad. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I miss him a lot, and I wanted to do like an in memory of him. So yeah. So now that we have Olivia and her mom, and Olivia lives just down the road by Grandpa, I wanted to add something to the story. So after Olivia's grandpa passes away, like days goes by where she had stayed in her room and she didn't want to see anyone, she didn't want to talk to anyone, she just wanted her grandpa back. So one day she was outside walking down the road because she just needed some time to herself. Well, when she was walking down this road, she's seen a path that she's never seen before. And I walked through the woods plenty of times, and I don't think I ever saw an unknown path, even like down a road. If I did, I would just keep walking. But this is a story, so I had to add some conflict, and I just wanted the story to be interesting. So what Olivia does is she decides to walk down the path, and as she's walking down the path, I added like nature around her. Like, I tried really hard to remember the moments I used to, go walk around in the woods and stuff. And the cats would like follow me and stuff. That's another whole long story through the woods. And she comes face to face with a witch, Inga. She is from Salem, and she was hung for witchcraft, and she had time traveled back so she didn't have to get hung, and she traveled to 2010. And Olivia's never seen this house before. She's never even seen the path before. I've walked in the wood plenty of times, and I've never encountered an old abandoned house or a witch who would give me a wishing stone. Yeah, that's never happened to me, and I hope to God it never does. But this is just a story. It's fiction. I totally made that up. I just wanted to add something to the story. Okay, so now that Olivia's met Inga, and she has this wishing stone, she makes a wish, not thinking like, oh, I wish my grandpa would come back. Well, the next morning she wakes up and he's alive again. But then the following day and the next day, she wakes up and he's dead again. So again, I never had this happen to me, so I had to write how I feel and what Olivia would do. So after Olivia meets Inga and she has this wishing stone, she starts to have dreams of this little boy. At first she doesn't know why, and it's her ancestor. And that was a whole big backstory too as well that I had to create from just fantasy land fiction. I just totally made that up. About the novel, Inga reappears as a ghost, and she torments Olivia because she wants to take Olivia's soul and keep it in her diamond. With all this going on and her parents not believing her, Olivia needed help and she didn't know who to go to. So that's when I brought another character in. I've always been interested in mediums, psychics, haunted houses, ghosts, spirits, demons, witches, all that stuff. Because I watched that stuff when I grew up. And I knew that if I created, I knew that if I created Gina, and if she was a medium and a psychic and a paranormal researcher, and she knew all of this stuff, I knew she could help Olivia. Because I didn't want to just have a plain character, and I wanted Olivia and Gina to team up together as a team to try to figure out why all of this haunting is happening. And Gina also has a point of view as well, and she's starting to have these terrifying experiences in her house. And she had went and investigated Olivia's house, and when she came home, she brought it home with her, and she had taken these pictures of Olivia's house and in the basement, and there were red orbs and black shadows and black mist, and it wasn't really scaring her. I mean, it did scare her, but she's used to it. So I mean, she has encounters with ghosts and spirits all the time, so this wasn't new to her. When I created Gina's character, I didn't want her to just be a medium, psychic, and a paranormal a paranormal researcher. Of course, when you bring a character into a story, you have to give them a backstory. You have to like flesh them. You have to make sure that they feel real to the character. So I decided to have her live in the city. She has an older sister named Izzy. So Gina is the baby in the family, like I'm the baby in the family. I have a older sister and an older brother. Well, I grew up out in the country with cats. We've had plenty of multicolored cats and black cats, and I decided to have Gina grow up with the cat named Socks. So Socks is like all black, and he has only white paws. Since I created Socks and he's passed away, I had to give that a backstory. So I decided to have Izzy and her friends bring a Ouija board into the house, and then a lot of like terrifying things like happens. Izzy was pushed down the stairs, and Socks was like killed by this evil spirit. It like snapped his neck, and yeah, that's sad, but I had to give a interesting backstory to the character. So, and I also had to do that for Inga's character as well. So that's it for this video, and I hope you guys liked it. So feel free to leave a nice comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and God bless.